Welcome, SASANS, to this week's episode of SASANS and Dragons, our homebrew house rule infested game of 5th edition, Dungeons and Dragons. I am Magnus Beasticus, your dungeon master for the evening, and joining us tonight as the adventurers in this adventure, just watch the video, and Rendezvous voice back here when you're done.
What? Oh.
Yeah,
Rendezvous.
I'm Thunky Beerbot, and don't let my facial hair fool you. I am a female mountain dwarf druid. I come from a long line of beer brewers, hence the name Beerbot. I had a mostly normal upbringing in the mountains of northern Melibrius, and I've always had an affinity towards animals, not so much the ruling races. I have many fond childhood memories of wandering the local forests in search of new furry friends. Eventually, on the advice of my parents, I enrolled in druidic studies and began honing my spellcasting abilities. My instructor, Elder Dalbrook, was a highly logical man and taught me my most important life lesson, that even though nature is beautiful, it cannot exist without chaos. There isn't a day that goes by that I do not repeat that message to myself. I understand that not all beasts can be tamed, and sometimes I will have to battle one. I don't like to admit it, but this happens more often with my new family, Orin's Obliterate. But I will stop at nothing to ensure their safety, and I may cause some chaos in the process.
If you were to gaze upon the mysterious property of Orenbel's finest artificer, you would find a very large mansion met by a garden with superbly sculpted shrubbery. At any given time, there is but only one worker which may be found on these grounds, and why that is me, Crow. I am one of Master Cuumentus's many creations. The majority of my being is made up of organic, plant-like material. The rest is mechanical. There are many duties for which I was created for, some of which include cooking, cleaning, obtaining materials and ingredients, assisting with laboratory duties, removing trespassers from the property, acting as the master's personal bodyguard when in town, and closest friend, always. These may be some of my regular duties, though Master Cuumentus mentioned that I am fully loaded with great purpose and grand potential. I have yet to discover the meaning behind those words. Maybe he was referencing the inaccessible areas of my internal systems, or maybe he was just trying to make me feel better about my self-realized lack of greater purpose in this world. Or maybe it is a metaphor for the many journeys he planned for us. Either way, I seek to discover the true potential of my being.
Hello, I am Var'Kir Invictari. I am an Aasimar of the clan Invictari at Barathor's Reach. To explain more about myself, I must first explain the world we live in, full of angels and monsters that toy with mortal lives like cheap coins. I sought out to rid us of the need to constantly appease these beings of considerable power. Even if all the world is my enemy, they will thank me when the work is done, for I believe in the strength of my fellow mortal. We have turned the tides of battle with nothing but one act that has spiraled out to a glory that is yet to be rivaled in this day and age. Kalanor, my right hand, my sword and shield. Altero, my left, my bow. All the others were dear to me, just as my mother and father. The angel that speaks to me in my dreams warns me of the dangers of what I do. But I know my path is virtuous, though I cannot say the same for the company I now find myself with. They may represent the truest of dangers, or the brightest of futures. Time will tell.
My name is Hercheck Bane. I am from the clan The Frenzied Bear, whose home is at the northeastern part of the Shattered Peaks. Growing up, I was split between two tribes, fighting over the land we both tried to call our own. My tribe's battle mentality was of pure carnage during warring, praising an unknown entity that I personally detested. My father, Urkelm Bane, was fourth in line to be chieftain, known in the tribe to be a fierce warrior on the battlefield, and to have saved many lives in combat over the ages. He has but one mighty secret, which is where I come in. Born from a forbidden love with a mighty warrior woman from the clan the Red Tempest, my tribe's rivals. My mother, Var'Kir Stormwill, the Red Tempest. She was a brutal warrior on the battlefield and a kind priestess to those in need. Her deity, Ragensha, as a weapon as well as her shield, is the goddess I now follow. After years of secrecy, I could no longer hold back my rage. During a battle with a fellow clansman, I unleashed my storm-bound fury. Luckily, through the deeds of my father and the tribe, I was not sentenced to death on the spot. I was, though, cast out from my clan, exiled, never to return or show my face around them. My title in the clan removed from me. One day I will return to my homeland and take over my clan to show them that there can be peace amongst all tribes. Unity is what I seek for the Goliath race, and I will achieve that goal, even if it takes my life.
When last we left our heroes of Orin's Obliterate, their spy comrade Carnagal had reunited with them, only now he was much different than when they had left him, seeming to have fused consciousnesses with the tentacled hive abomination. He, or what once was Carnagal, now hold influence over the majority of dark creatures of the floating forest. With the hive Carnagal's help, our heroes finally broke the second Denebraun camp, releasing a captured Unagoth queen back into the world, only to be blown away by a rocketing stone of flames moments later. Will our heroes recuperate and retaliate? Will the parties that have been fouled by the copper incursion of the Denebraun soldiers unite to amass their own forces and take back the floating forest? Find out this time on SASANS and Dragons.
Never stop playing role.
Okay.
Good one. I like that
Really
one.
escalated.
Yeah. I liked how you escalated. It was great. I really enjoyed that. You should really think about doing that.
I listened more.
It was all
towards the end.
natural.
I mean, you skipped a couple
Rolled off
words
the tongue.
in there, but it was fine.
I think I just wrote it like that. All right. So, the circumstances that befall all of you currently right now, the Unagoth Queen, as it escaped and the rocketing meteor came and impacted the camp, Crow managed to hop on and grab onto some of the sort of thick fur of the Unagoth Queen on her back, similar to, like, imagine one of the flying creatures of Shadow of the Colossus. That is Crow's current circumstance. Thunky had been taken over by the blast in her Unagoth form, being sent out back to her natural dwarven appearance, being caught by Hercheck with enough force that both of you slammed into the ground, skirting to a halt. As in the background, you see a majestic and glowing Var'Kir jumping away from the now sort of, sort of impact that is this sort of impact crater that's smoldering in flames. More than half of the camp is destroyed, and those of you around sort of hear the sounds that you've gotten used to over the past few days of the sort of creaking wood of accompanied by sort of sounds of Nahalis's eye, captained by Quenzel, as he's sort of careening the ship in your direction next to the camp in flames. And he goes, "Hop on! What just happened?"
Lower the rope, Queasies.
A rope just gets chucked down by this glowing purple form. Spectromere slaps on the ground. She sort of motions to jump up, and Carnigal, you hear, all of you here in this vicinity goes, yes, he's right. We need to get out of here. I've got a present for you, bird mind. And this sort of like pack of also in cinders, tyrannid creatures are stomping out of the inflamed camps with just sort of one partially ruined ballista, sort of walking towards the ship. We need to reconvene on Nohalis' Eye. I fear time is of the essence. Fabian has made his first move of offense against us.
Is this Curtis?
This is not Curtis. Curtis is a bit more like this.
Who is this?
This is Carnigal is talking to.
I was talking.
I guess.
Get up there. Where's... Can I see Crow?
Roll a perception check.
At advantage.
Yeah?
18. Suck it.
Do we have free actions right now?
Wait, sorry.
You do
20.
not. You are currently separated from the group as Hercheck. You are climbing up onto the ship, and you just see this dark winged shadow ascending into the skies. And this is where we will
Pick up next time.
pick up next time. This is where we will go to Crow, as you are about 3/4 the way back down the length towards the sort of like small, whatever the equivalent of the small of this Unagoth's back is. As you are sort of like holding on for your life, the fog just sort of like streaming past you. And this, you just sense aggression coming from this beast, as it's almost like constantly like, and it's like it'll just scream with all its might into the air as it's ascending every few seconds. This is when you hear in your mind, and you feel a motion on your shoulder, another Carnigal who sort of looks Carna ferret, whatever. It looks different. It looks like its make is, again, just like somebody threw insect and somebody threw like rodent into a blender, and then whatever came out of the Chimera fusion is on your shoulder right now.
Did I see it get there?
It just you notice it now, and it takes you aback a little bit, but it sort of like has the makings of a Insecticarna squirrel.
Is it doing anything?
As you are ascending, what tips you off to its presence is it's almost like a closer voice in your ear than before. You didn't hear Carnigal say anything from what I told the others. This is another sort of. We'll probably get to it in exposition, but he says the queen is crying, worried, I think, racing to her nest.
And are we traveling? Are we traveling away from the group right now, or
You don't know where you are.
I have no idea.
You can try and roll a perception check,
The general idea is, are we traveling in a single direction, or are we still like spinning around? And
you're traveling in a single direction. Yeah,
Oh.
It's almost like the queen took off and just rocketed away. And you hear the sort of like whistling of hundreds of different whistles on her, coming from her mouth.
If this thing on my shoulder doesn't pose any threat, then I'd like to like turn and keep my head focused on it while trying to slowly, and I'll do even like a stealth roll to try and like, I don't know, pretend I'm not here.
Sort of like mask your presence on the queen.
Yeah.
Okay, roll.
Team.
Okay.
Success.
What? You have no idea. There's no difference in the queen's demeanor as your sort of like small form is crawling up her back.
Well, with that 14, I'd like to, if there's no like disturbance, if it's not like actively trying to shake me off, then I'd like to start slowly climbing towards the I don't know, the nape, the back of its neck.
Okay. All right, so
We'll keep an eye on this thing, so like keep in my head.
go ahead and just roll an athletics check for me.
Ooh.
21.
Okay.
Natural.
Yeah. As you're crawling forward, sort of like pressed against the fur, you find this sort of good rhythm to sort of like the wings will flap and there'll be a moment of release of like the breaking pressure of the wind on you, and the forces you just like sort of like pull, flap, and you find this good like comfort as you ascend. It's not super difficult for you. Getting back to the majority of the group, what are you guys doing as all of you guys have sort of gotten on the ship, except for, are you getting back onto the ship, Var'Kir?
I thought we were all going to the ship, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, you hadn't spoken up.
Yeah, as soon as I get on the top of the deck, I'll start like, I'm gonna like point out to where I last saw Crow. And I'll be like, where's he going? He probably doesn't see us. So I'll take the Red Tempest and I'm just gonna shoot a bolt.
What do you mean? Where's he going?
I don't know. He's just on that thing.
Crow is on that?
Yeah. It's dope, right?
He's pretty badass. What the fuck?
Yeah, master of
What's
the
he
skies
thinking?
you are. Look at that guy.
This Quenzel.
I know.
Not a master of disguise at all.
No, master of the skies.
Oh, okay, got it. Sorry, I thought you said master of disguise. I was like, what?
That's me.
I can only be envious of the natural creatures of the Unagoths. They were beautiful once, and I only hope that I can attain a slight fraction of their majesty in the skies. And Carnigal just sort of breaks in and says, I can track him. I've placed another beacon on Crow with him. Hopefully it'll help him along the way.
Well, let's go. I'm going to release the lightning bolt.
Okay, go ahead and I guess roll...
Say a perception check.
Roll a religion check.
That's weird.
Is it?
That I have to do a religion check to cast this? I've done it.
No, you can cast it just fine. It doesn't do...
Just a 12.
In your history throughout the floating forest, like a single beam of light would not be seen more than like 30 feet away, if that makes sense. He is like at least 100 or so feet away. You just see the sort of like small outline of what is indicative of a massive creature sort of sailing away.
Unless you're looking for Jesus.
I do love me too.
Some Jesus!
I rolled a 12.
Okay, you sort of like shoot it off and you hear this sort of echoing. Crow, roll a perception check.
Witness.
22.
Nice.
3.
Okay, roll an intelligence check. So you've heard the noise. This is to see if you can sort of like coordinate between your trajectory and where the noise came from.
13.
You have it sounds like they're like the familiar crackle of Hercheck's lightning sort of powers is higher than you would have assumed, as you guys have been sort of ascending for a little while now. And you guys are fully just like you hear hundreds of wings along the sides and sort of see the legs curling and grabbing onto the ropes and just pulling the ship forward.
We're cruising.
Along with the beetle up front, its wings are also as you guys are ascending through the smoke, as you see it just sort of like spilling onto the deck of the ship and leaving. Anything else that you guys want to do in this moment?
I'm going to take a seat and see if I can't rest up a bit.
Okay. You are passing sort of like the massive silhouettes of Belbanus trees as you're ascending. The large, thick, black trees that you're very familiar with at this point. Stop it! Stop moving! You guys exit the sky, or sorry, the fog, to see the clear landscape of fog in front of you. As you guys exit, you see about 100 yards in front of you the Unagoth Queen, small speck of crow, arc down and start soaring through the clouds, separating them in her wake. What you see is this vista, way more active than you've ever noticed in the past. On many of the Belbanus trees are the sentries that you had seen previously, of just the blimps with maybe 1 or 2 individuals in it. But speckled throughout the cloud top landscape, you see other larger blimps with what looks to be almost just like a cannon affixed to it, and maybe like a small deck for people to stand on. Sort of slowly meandering in different directions, and on the far end of the expanse, you just see this sort of like silhouette of this large black ship. Well, it's like mostly black because it's still not super bright here. Black in that it's not very well lit, I should say. It's not like a perfectly framed black ship.
Blackbeard. And that's in the direction that we're headed.
I will show you the direction that you guys are headed. Maybe I will.
A sky map.
See all those clouds?
Butts.
Wow, those are some highly produced clouds right there.
This way.
Wow.
Just hold your fucking horses. Hold all the stops.
You don't have any horses. You said
What
hold the
is
horses, you don't
that?
have any.
Did you make that?
That's a lot of guns, and that's a lot of whatever those things
I
are
did.
on top of it.
What?
Is this like this looks like a Michelin advertising thing or something weird? Advertising for a weird sex shop.
Is that like a Tyrannosaurus head?
Triceratops?
Yeah. What the fuck are those?
Belbanus trees.
Oh.
Look like giant malformed monkey hands. Or
Just
just
like hands. I've always described them as hands.
yeah.
Well,
Good job.
just do the best.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Well,
It's supposed to be. They look like they're upside down. Though.
Now I
They're
don't know
supposed
what
to be
that
tables.
is. What is that?
Really?
I'm sorry.
These guys, because I didn't have time to print them, are the sort of larger.
they're giants!
Are the larger cannon ships.
Those are people.
What about No Hollis's eye?
And this
Oh, hey. Wanna come up here?
is no Hollis's eye. But we ain't done yet.
Where's Crow in this situation?
We ain't done yet.
She wants to come over to me.
No, she doesn't.
I'm the preferred one to sit on.
That was like me going into Bilbo.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I heard it, I was like,
Okay, good.
You want to
there's
stay?
mini Unagoths.
Stay
You printed out mini ones that aren't front
Nice.
heavy.
Stay here with
Oh,
me.
is that one just missing a tail?
Yeah. This one's tail's kind of interesting.
Do we have any more whistles?
I think you have one more.
Who had it? Crow, did you have it?
How convenient.
No, I thought Spectromere had the last one.
Oh.
That could be true. I don't remember.
Because we used all ours, and Spectrum had the last one in your coat.
Okay. So, as you guys break the surface of the clouds and see the landscape before you, you can still see the clouds recovering from the wake of the large sort of like meteor, and you can see the length lead straight to the back of to the edge of the forest, the edge of the back of the forest where the largest ship resides. At this point, you start to hear this very bassy, like, and you, Var'Kir, notice Carnagal in his sort of caterpillar ferret form is like standing up and jittering a little bit, and the eyes of what you notice are sort of like blank for a second before it comes back, and he says, "It is done. The connection is complete." And you hear the zzz get louder and louder and louder and spawn up from behind you from the clouds.
What? It's a giant flea.
The hive abomination. It's the best thing I could find. I didn't make that one, but
I mean, clearly, because it's a flea.
I have much more at my disposal now. And three sort of they're similar to the flies that you see attached to Nahalis's eye, propelling it forward and giving it speed. But these are sort of like they have 4 limbs, long, lanky, curling, wings on their back, just sort of like set in place, multiple layers of these sort of like shining wings. And as they're hunched over, all 3 of them on the deck, they sort of like stand tall, and their hands, their arms extend, and you sort of see their rib cage go at your leisure.
I'm not getting in that thing.
I get in that thing.
Okay, as Hercheck steps up to the largest one, and the as an exoskeleton, the sort of small hair-like tendrils sort of like connect to you, and the largest of the appendages suck to the outside of your armor, or suck to the outside of your skin, and you sort of, you don't feel much different. Some things feel easier for you, but this
What?
You feel vitality rush through you, as what this does is you have your full hit points only in this suit, so you have your health is reset. You can fly as far as you can run, as far as you can move naturally, and the same rules apply if you want to double run. You have the charge ability. So like as the fly's head sort of like caresses yours over top, and the pincers are just like sort of resting just in your sort of northern peripheral vision, this horn, or this like beetle's horn, goes and juts out. So
What are my attacks?
your normal attacks. So anybody else who wants to take this,
This is dope. I feel weird, but cool.
and the other creatures are sort of like fastening with their own bile and sinew the ballista on the front of the ship. So we are transitioning into a bit of a sort of tactical map type of combat. So you can take a position on one of the cricketers and fly separate from Nahalus's eye. You can also wear an exoskeleton at the same time. It just grants you flight, pretty much, and your full health. You can you move 1/2 of a mile, which is 2 squares every round, or you can double your movement on Nahalus's eye, or regardless, it's like. Actually, as an individual, you move 1 square. You can dash 2 squares. As Nahalus's eye, you have 2 squares, or you can dash 4 squares. When you dash, you sacrifice your movement. You sacrifice your attack.
So from like here to here, that's like a good amount of distance, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like if we move through here, this one could attack. Or like if we moved over here, this one would attack, but that one would not.
Yeah, you imagine those are sort of like sentries to keep you.
Okay.
You sort of have to pick your battles. You don't really know how far they can stretch with a mage's help.
Yeah.
You can also attack twice if you don't move. So in this case, you can sacrifice your movement for more attacks. And a Belbanus tree is ascending out of the fog enough to where you could potentially use it as cover from incoming fire. But you'd have to remove the people up top first. Are there any questions? Hercheck has taken an exoskeleton. Var'Kir is...
Guess I'll put one on, yes, but first I'm going to... Where is it?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So the Unagoth that I'm on, has it changed its trajectory since we've crested the fog? Like, now that all of this shit is in sight, am I still heading towards what I'm guessing is...
It's as though it doesn't register anything but the nest, which is very obvious as you see Unagoths currently it's almost as though they're swarming against something. Oh, there is one last thing that I forgot to put down. There are...
Does the exoskeleton restore spell slots? It's like a long rest.
It's just you notice ruins. Ruins sort of jutting out, similar to the ones that you in architecture with the black stone of when Hercheck took you to get the book. Yes. What was your question, Luna?
Do the exoskeletons restore spell slots?
Yes, they do.
I will take an exoskeleton.
Know that this is a symbiotic relationship. When the health fades or is exhausted that this creature has given you, your life will be exhausted as well.
Even though we had hit points out of it?
As if you take enough damage, if you go down to 0 or more, you will still die. As you are sharing your vital essences, I can remove it, should you desire. But it will grant you strength in the battle to come.
Question.
Okay, I'm still...
What are those pieces with the shield and...
Those are the larger blimps with what looks... You see just giant black cylinders jutting out.
Okay, sorry. And these guys right here, those are just enemy ships?
Sentry balloons with like.
Yeah, they're like
1 to
sentry
10
balloons. They can't move on their own. They're hanging suspended above the palm of the Belbanus tree.
And there's a mage in a.
From what
Archer.
from what you have seen. Oh, you have.
Well,
Oh,
when I see one
you
from
actually saw these when you ascended the Belbanus tree before entering the camp. You saw like little bits of these people perking up throughout the forest, but it wasn't to this degree.
Okay. And all of these things are in sight now, right? They're not like the pieces in the distance are not in sight because they're at a distance. We can see everything.
You can see for the most part everything. There's like this pale light that's shining through the canopy of clouds that still encompasses this bubble of the Belbanus forest.
Okay. And these ruins over here are in the sky?
They're just breaking the clouds, about the same height as the Belbanus trees.
Okay. I think I'm good.
So
Yeah,
like,
let's go.
Everybody roll initiative as you hear.
never let me finish.
Wait. Last question from me.
I'm sorry. What?
I guess you can
Oh.
question.
Yeah.
What? So you said how like how many squares the rest of the team moves per turn. But what about the queen?
You don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She's kind of going on her own.
Okay.
You've just broken the clouds and you can just sort of get your bearings.
I have I don't know if you covered this in the very beginning. So our plan is to just get through this area, and I'm guessing that ship is the final boss.
Pretty much. I didn't cover it in the beginning, no. But you sort of like you have this.
Like
It's like an.
can we go around?
This is the contents of the floating forest in front of you. Like
Okay.
the sides of this map, consider it this like mountains ascending that would block your path otherwise.
And we're trying to get back to town.
And you're trying to get back
There
to
is
town.
no
I don't
town.
know. Like why?
I'm just trying to get out of the Belbanus
Yeah, like
forest.
why do we have to go this way?
I mean, you can leave. You can certainly leave. Don't take all of this preparation as any sign that you
Well, I
must
mean,
do
like,
this.
I'm
no, I mean,
already
like,
separated, but
do we
it's
need
just
to, like, what is over here in this direction that we need to get to?
Fabian Wild, you imagine. So like Carnigal pretty much said like Fabian has made his move. We need to get him like right now, otherwise he'll pretty much destroy everything.
Okay.
Maybe it's the copper clad.
Yeah, he's the one leading these forces in the floating forest. You
Do we
you
think
may
he's on
think
that
that that's
ship?
his capital ship. Yes.
Okay.
And other motive would be I'm on the Unigoth thing,
I'm
and
not
we
doing it
were
anymore, whatever.
chasing the Unigoth thing because
What are you gonna do?
We're good.
it's needed.
I'm not doing it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna get in the blood beetle. That's it.
Okay.
That's your Unagok, right? Okay.
So do you three get in the?
Exoskeleton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You are. That's not available to you. And who's getting on a cricketeer?
Still getting on a cricket.
Okay, cricket. You don't have to leave the ship right now, but there is a
I'll put it in the
ballista
boat.
free.
I'm in the beetle and getting on the cricket.
Okay, yeah.
Can we do that?
You can get the exoskeleton and get on
Oh,
a cricket.
sure.
Can you fly without the cricket, or do you need the cricket?
You can fly without the cricket, but just not as fast. You would literally, it's like, this is a huge, expansive map. It's not indicative of your traditional movement. So it's like a person would move one square every like 2 turns. The crickets move 1 square every turn or 2 with a dash.
Okay. I'll get on a cricket.
Okay. Are you guys, there's still a lot away from you and the ship is moving rather quickly. Are you getting off of the ship and doing your own thing?
I'm heading right towards Crow.
Where is Crow?
In
The
that
big
giant.
one, yeah. To the left? So we probably go to the left. Queasy, to the left! Steer to the left!
Right, these crickets can fly now? I thought they could only jump before.
they can't fly. You have wings, but neither of you and none of you have tried. They can essentially what Carnigal will tell you to sort of skip the random instance of roleplay is that they can skip across the like
clouds.
Exactly like
high density clouds.
No, they're they
Roll an initiative, I guess.
it's whatever dark science is going on there. Yeah, they've got some follicles. Follicles.
I like
They've got some hair follicles.
Follicles sounds more sci-fi.
They've got exactly. They've got follicles that help them do these inexplicable acts. Okay, roll initiative.
You already did.
Yeah, we already did.
Sorry. All right. 25 to 20.
23.
23.
23.
Okay. Dexterity. Who?
0.
Okay. Crow. You're first. 15 to 20.
15.
Okay.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. You guys do like Remy and Kat, you do agree we should probably go like this way, and then maybe gather these, and then right over.
Why would we gather those?
Because we still have a
To
flute.
fight?
Yeah, to help us fight the.
What did you get, Lucky?
The
13.
broodmother's right there with more flutes than we have.
Wait, what?
True.
What'd you say?
Maybe the broodmother has flutes in her teeth, so our one flute might not overpower hers.
I think she can go way faster than us. I have no idea, actually. Maybe she's slow.
Still use her to kind of maybe help out. Maybe Carnival has a connection.
Maybe I can cast animal friendship.
I mean, he
Convince her
he
to
said
seek
that,
revenge.
She's
Distressed?
distressed. I don't think he can control something like that with one little thing, but you never know.
But maybe it'll have the same common goal if it sees like destruction over here, like against the Copperclad, or us.
Doesn't look like there's anything over there right now, but I mean, I guess we can find out.
It's better than going over to the right, maybe.
Yes, use this time to tacticize.
That doesn't matter to me. Just we'll do whatever.
Good input, Roy.
Well, I mean, every time I input, it just gets thrown out, so I stopped.
Good input.
You should never stop, Remy. Always try. Okay, Crow. You are up. You have no control over this queen. Just your individual actions right now.
I'd like to control this queen. Okay, I'd like to still make my way
Downtown.
up the backside of this beast and towards the neck.
Okay, well, you will say that from your last round, you're about halfway up. If you use your movement and action, you could get sort of towards the nap of the neck,
That's meant to jump
ear
off my
area.
desk.
All right. Well then, I would like to. Wait, so I gotta use my action and my movement to get up that far?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it.
Oh, okay. So you're just at the ear and.
Yep.
Okay. Also, remember, you guys have. I genuinely have no clue how you'd use it, but you have the beckoning connection. You have piston peg leg.
We don't have that anymore. Beckoning connection. We used it 3 days ago.
Or did we?
We did.
Oh.
I used it.
Or did we?
Yeah, never mind. You don't have the beckoning connection anymore. Okay,
No.
you, Thunky, you also have the Cloak of Cosmos,
Oh.
which,
I don't remember.
Jesus, which once also per 7 days you can
Wait.
use the combined energy of the stars collected within to refill all of your spell slots.
Has it been a week?
Oh.
When was the last time you used it? Under
The under Ornbell.
yes.
Oh
has been over.
shit, motherfucker! Ooh!
As you feel this like Sasa tingle on the back of your neck, that sort of like connects from your hand to the hilt of the Starlight Conqueror.
Just like all of it does.
Okay, Var'Kir, you're up. Then Hercheck, you're after.
Huh? I thought Hercheck was first because he
You
rolled
rolled
higher.
you rolled a 23.
What?
I rolled a.
You and
Oh,
Crow
okay,
rolled.
okay, so
Yeah.
it's Crow, okay. I guess I'll just move ahead 1 square.
You're getting off the ship?
Yeah, like, I mean, 1 square.
Okay. Var'Kir jumps off the ship.
That's with the cricket.
With
Yes.
with the cricket. You can use your action to go 2 squares.
I'll go 2 squares. Yeah, I'll go 2 squares then. 2 squares.
Would you mind moving your?
Forward?
Yeah, just 1.
Wait, why am I next?
I thought he said you can move 2 squares.
I did
That
move
was
2.
Yeah, he did move.
Oh, 2 total.
Didn't you? What'd you roll?
I rolled a 15.
Yeah, you go next.
Crow also rolled a 23.
Crow went first. He climbed up the Unagath.
Yeah, I didn't really do.
I thought you. Whatever.
I'm just
Whatever.
climbing.
Whatever. Alright, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna be like, alright, I'm gonna jump off, and I just super badass cool jump off the side and move 2 spaces.
Okay.
I feel like that works.
Next up. Yeah, you see. Are you here? Out of, not from the ship itself, but from underneath the ship, come 2 giant flaming fireballs.
But if there wasn't already enough on the field.
Almost like meandering through the sky. You imagine unless you stay still for a round, it might be easy to avoid these things.
How big are they? Would we guess?
They're about 15 feet in diameter.
They're headed over that
You
way.
start to see the 2 sort of cannon-wielding blimps shift their energy and continue towards the nest, just firing smaller than the flaming boulder shooting through the sky, but like still flaming cannonballs, just splintering giant portions, entire fingers off of the Belbanus tree, as the nest is even more active than it was when you came here. You imagine that it's the ferocity of the Unagath Queen is geared towards this direction for this very reason. Thunky, you're up.
I would like to dash 2 spaces towards the queen.
All right, and you see Spectromir take the ballista and just sort of like walk up to it and grab it as you dash off.
Am I within range to where the Unagath can see me? Actually, let me see.
You'd be behind it, so.
Also, just like throw like distance calculation to the wind. We'll no longer use hundreds of feet, few feet. This is all just by squares. Because you'll notice that you guys move up half a mile in one round. This whole thing is operating on a larger scale than what we're used to. So, and also it's not 100%. Yeah, no, it's totally accurate here. What are you doing?
Actually, I realized that for speak with animals, they don't have to see or hear me, like within distance. So we're gonna just talk to it.
Okay, you got to project your voice.
But let me just yell half a mile real fast.
Sort of like these small sort of like appendages, these ant-like hands just go around your mouth as you are sort of afforded a funnel.
Oh.
Everything that these things do are to afford you like operation on a larger distance and scale.
I'm gonna tell the Queen Unagoth. My queen! Gather your children, save them from the nest, and then fight with us. Take your revenge.
Roll a performance check.
At advantage.
I would say add advantage. Are you using your spell?
Yeah.
Then yeah, add advantage. Because you also feel like a mental connection to her. You feel anguish and
Oh, spicy.
Dang, is that a
Haste.
natural 20? It's a natural 20.
As you look towards her and sort of like see you see this
It wasn't canted.
you see this small insect climbing up the back, assuming it's crow, and you make like navigating the mental channels of yourself and the Unagoth. You make this pure connection where you're streaming directly into her thoughts, and she is just going over and over again. Children, be safe. I'll slay the copper. Children, be safe. The copper will die.
See?
We can't lose.
So
While you're right.
go ahead and roll a persuasion check at advantage now.
Thank goodness. 20 not natural.
Friend of an enemy, kindred spirit, I will fight for you, but first, my children.
Yeah, by all means, save your children.
To the left. We need to go to the left.
Huh?
To the left.
What do you mean? She is going that way.
Yeah, we need to go this way.
Yeah, she's heading right
She's
towards it.
beelining it.
Nobody else is on the opposite side, so they don't know.
Okay.
Just keeps going.
You see this red flaming streak. 3 of them. Look, when you play Vandal Hearts, as long as I do, this song will get you
Gets
going. God damn it.
I'm ready for combat. Boop, 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 boop.
You see them. Crow, you see most of them soar under the neck with the strength of the wings and the wind sort of gusting around them. The second one gets blown off to the side, and a third one inserts behind you. The queen doesn't even notice flame sort of spilling off of the arrow and burning hairs in a small radius around it. The queen doesn't take any noticeable damage, but these arrows shot far and fast. Next up, Quenzel. Follow the queen! You got it!
I'd like to prepare a math equation.
I'd like to hold my math equation.
This is why maybe you guys should have stayed on the ship. You guys jumped off, and the ship just...
Well, you know.
Okay,
What about that big ass beetle? That flea.
You get Monty Python.
Oh.
you see the rocket go straight, or the large meteor go straight for the hive abomination, as the second meteor disappears in between the clouds, right in between Nahalis' eye and the Unagoth. You hear the descend, and you also hear a moment later the impact on the ground below. You see this almost like black color shift and swirl. It's almost like smoke. Come and meet the meteor, and you just hear like thousands of cries of insects just die in a second and get destroyed as it slows. Sort of the fire dims a little bit, and just this rock impacts and cracks the carapace of the hive abomination and stays for a second and rolls off to the side as it continues to fly forward.
How many spaces?
Hold on. What do you mean, how many spaces? What? No, the hive doesn't fly yet. Hold your goddamn horses.
It kamikazes and
We inferred from your conversation that it lands right next to the boss.
Yeah? Yeah, you think so? That's how this gonna go down!
The hive abomination is fueled by enemy
Wait, is
projectiles.
Carnival on top of the hive abomination?
He is.
From what you remember, could be.
Do we witness him on top of the hive abomination?
Do we
Can I laugh at him?
All right. And the hive moves forward, pressing through the clouds. Its lower portion still sort of hidden beneath the clouds. You just see part of its back shift open as it shoots two mortars of its own. Sort of like swirling with like flies and streaming insects being released into the air. Actually, look at these two. Even though it's the same color of the map.
Barrels.
Yeah. Or actually, they move about the same speed as the enemy's mortars. Next up, Crow, then Var'Kir.
If I have... Wait, how big were those arrows? The fire arrows shot at me? That's weird.
Regular size, but they just went much farther than you ever would have thought.
I'd like to
Actually, we'll do
try and get a secure purchase on the back, and then hold.
So you're at its neck area. It'll take one movement to go anywhere on its head, or
Okay.
I don't know what you.
Well, I'd like to hold my movement, and I know that this is a reaction, but just letting you know. Well, I don't know if I can hold my movement, but I'd like to ready deflect missiles if I have to, even if it's not in my own general vicinity. If it's like coming towards what I think is like a, I don't know, critical area for this.
Roll an acrobatics check.
Ooh.
This is just yeah. Just...
29.
Whoa.
Okay. Go ahead and that's just what you want to do? You just want to sort of hold there and keep your eyes trained on the...
I mean, there's really nothing, or not much else that I can do besides try and defend myself in this. There we go.
Okay, sort of like having a sense of comfort from the beginning. It doesn't take much inside of you to sort of like stand up and find purchase on your own 2 feet, sort of blowing your cape in the wind as you lock eyes on this sort of like gleaming red icon coming from the blimp above the Belbanus tree closest to you.
And I would maintain 3 points of contact. Until I had to deflect it, but
the hair extends so far up that you just grab it.
Oh, nice.
Like standing and just like...
That's cool. Okay, I like it.
Var'Kir, you're up, then Hercheck.
So I guess I'm gonna do it. I cast jump on my beetle thing. So now its jump distance is tripled. You said it jumps across clouds. So I'm gonna use that.
As you sort of like lightly, buoyantly stand on top of the clouds, you don't feel like this friction from when the cricketeer meets the clouds. You just feel as though you're floating, and it's your own wings sort of extend, and its wings or its legs sort of like almost like bulk up as you cast this on it, and your distance is doubled now. So you are moving as fast as Nahalis' eye.
I'd like to go forward as much as I can.
Just straight forward?
Yes. I said straight forward. That's the side.
What? Oh, this way?
Yeah.
So how many?
4.
4? No, 4.
Okay. Hercheck, you're up.
Is it 3 spaces to Nahalis' eye?
Technically, it's 2 right now.
I'm gonna get back on it.
As it just leaves you.
Yeah, like, whoa, okay.
They're fast, but not faster than a fleet of them.
Got it, Carnigal. Still, same old Carnigal. God can't. Why would you do that?
All right. Back on to Hollis's eye.
That's not allowed to move, though.
No. God damn it. Yep.
Her eyesight's not good.
Computer, stop it. Sorry, this is... There we go. You see this sort of like displacement of air coming from this large ship, which now that it gets closer, you see it's sort of plated in copper, many different small cannons sort of lining both sides of it. It's facing directly towards the hive abomination as it gets closer. A clear path in between it and the hive abomination, and this displacement of air shifts in front of it and continues in a straight line, as it's no solid color. It's literally just almost like a mirror is shot through the sky in a straight line and impacts the solid armor, natural armor of the hive abomination, sort of like waves outwards around it as the wings start to just slow down. The whole thing slows in motion. Next up,
so I can picture things accurately. The hive abomination, is it flying or is it just that big?
it is flying, and yeah, it is flying.
But it's also massive.
It's also massive, yeah. I mean, you fought it before. You like each one of its mouth tentacles is like 15 to 20 feet, but it's not hundreds of feet. Like it's not like 200 feet high to be able to break the cloud barrier.
Wasn't it tearing
It's
apart
like
the Belbanese
a
trees?
mile and a half
Oh yeah,
long.
but that's just how powerful it was. It's okay. It's maybe half the height, if that makes sense. Like this is the equivalent of a jump for it. Wow, I have so many dice here. Isn't that crazy?
No.
You don't need to roll.
You're a dice addict.
All right, the cannon ships. Two of them continue their assault. I'm sorry. Okay, one of them continues its assault on the tree, the nest of Unagoths, just continually shooting inside of it. One Unagoth takes a hit directly in its the sort of like shoulder equivalent, connecting its wing to its mass, and it just shatters the wing, and the Unagoth continues with the momentum of the boulder as it's sort of like burning around the skin and dips into the fog and disappears. The second ship turns towards the Unagoth the Unagoth queen that you're on, trying to stop her approach, and fire this flaming boulder towards you. You can try and stop this. You will use your reaction to try and stop this, or you can hold it for another form of attack. But this seems like Neo seeing the helicopter falling in front of the building with Trinity in it. Sort of that level of you have to roll extremely high to be able to defend this Unagoth against it. As the clouds are like parting underneath its force, and it's not even in the clouds. It's like 20 feet above, and it's just barreling through the sky.
And I'm made of wood.
You can wrap that fur extra hard around your forearm, just like Neo does.
It says that my strikes count as magical. Does that help at all?
That's just
It says it overcomes resistance and immunity. Does that mean like I can punch fire?
Not necessarily. It means that like other like creatures or material that's not from this world, you'd still be successful hitting. This is just science that you're up against. A boulder flying through the sky.
And I don't know if I have to do a check here, but does it seem like it's coming right at us?
It seems like it's on a collision course.
Okay. Then I'm going to try and jump towards it. I held my math equation. And I'm going to try to engage the jump. I forget what it's called.
Peg leg. Pogo.
Pistol, peg leg.
Piston peg leg.
Piston peg leg.
And then try and like basically use my feet to like, do a leg thrust off, like to change its trajectory, even ever so slightly.
But then you're falling,
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
and it's also massive.
Let's give it a shot.
Okay. I want you to roll a strength check and roll a Constitution saving throw. Max, you can give your
Natural 20.
for a strength check. Holy shit!
Well, high risk, high reward.
You can bequeath your inspiration dice to anybody you please.
7 Constitution.
I thought they have an inspiration dice. Andrew has one.
It doesn't look like we have any.
We did, but then the DM took it from us.
Is
You
that
should
true?
probably give it back.
Is that true? Yeah. Oh, it is true. Okay.
One for each of us.
Mm.
Oh my
It was
god!
one higher than the other one, so 8. No, it's okay.
Oh, no.
It's not okay.
Look, that one
I didn't mean to
took
actually-
out.
Hercheck, you see
the whole
this
tree.
small form jump at this solid black
It seems
wreathed
to
in
roll.
fireball.
You roll your own shit.
Yeah, you can roll your own
You-
shit.
Yeah, you don't roll.
You
these.
don't
They're
have to
terrible.
roll the
They're
inspiration
absolutely.
dice.
These roll terribly.
Thank you.
Stop it!
We all saw it. He gave this to me.
We all saw
I
it.
would like to use, and I don't know how this is going to make any sense, but... Oh, wait. Is this uncanny dodge? Do we determine that this won't work in that scenario?
You just move out of the way.
Okay, here's how this is going to go down. This is moving at you at incredible speeds, faster than the maybe 3 or 4 times larger ones that are arcing through the sky as artillery. This is coming straight at you, and you're just sort of like in your state of sort of like fortitude, hanging on to the hair of the Unagoth, sort of like flying through the sky, seeing the straight trajectory, almost trying to cut the Unagoth off. You let go of the fur, get down on all fours, and jump forward at it off of the Unagoth. Sort of like twist mid-air to where your feet first at this point, and your piston peg leg impacts the very side of it, and you release it, and in slow motion, the entire peg leg comes apart, just breaks piece by piece, as the last bit of strength and force releases, and it sends the ball, it adds a spin to it, whereas it's just this solid object going before, and it goes, and just, it doesn't change its direct angle. The spin just causes it to arc up into the sky and away, as you are now sort of hanging in the sky. Yeah, I'll give you one sort of No, this was your reaction. We'll see what happens after this. But you have successfully jumped off, kicked it, sent it on a different trajectory, and potentially lost the piston peg leg forever.
Wait, that was my reaction? Does that mean I get my action and movement?
No, your reaction, so that was... we are not in your order right now.
Oh, okay.
We'll see what happens. Maybe he'll need that
Too
later.
late, man.
No, it's not.
Too late.
Good thing you held that mask.
Most everybody on or close to Nahalis's eye sees this sort of this happen as Crow jumps for it, and this ball just goes into the sky and arcs into the mountains through the clouds. Okay, Thunky, you're up.
What?
Doesn't it go him, me?
It wasn't his turn. He was holding his
my
reaction.
Oh, okay.
Because he had no place to move, he just held his turn for that point. Wait, actually, I'm sorry. You did hold your turn. So you do have a full turn. I thought that was just your reaction. So you still have your bonus action, I will say, if you want to try something. The Unagoth, unfortunately, does not care about you enough to slow down. So you have a thing that you can do around its tail. As you were sort of like lobbed into the air, and you see the body of the Unagoth soar under you and start to sort of leave the point of no return.
If possible, I'd like to call upon Xander Cage in this moment and try to like barrel roll to gain some momentum towards the Unagoth, and maybe, if possible, try to get on an intercept path with that tail.
Okay, roll an acrobatics check, I guess. At disadvantage, unfortunately, because you jumped at a rolling ball.
15. I'll just roll this one. Okay. No, wait, 20.
It worked. There goes all the assassin dice. It's worth it, bro. You didn't die.
Still got 2, but I just don't. I never.
Ooh. So you sort of like, as you're thrust into the air off of like counterbalancing the massive force of the solid ball of iron, you finally find the moment of brief equilibrium as you can get like a lay of the land, and you just see the Unagoth sailing away. You quickly bring in all of your limbs as close to each other as you can to sort of like lower the you know what I'm trying to say. What is it? The resistance, the wind resistance of your entire body. Sort of like the wood plates on your face shift a little bit to allow for more wind resistance. Just like there are panels of your body just as you grab your cloak and use it to direct yourself when you need to, like a flying squirrel.
Slow fall.
Wow.
As you sort of like are arcing along the side of the Unagoth, and that was acrobatics check. You are just like, you see the tail just leaving your point of grasp, and roll a sleight of hand check to see if you can.
Spiked tail, but it might be helpful at this point. $30.
Ooh, boy.
There's like a perfect rod that's just like sticking out with grooves in it as well to be like very ergonomic for your hands. And you're just like, ooh, it's almost like this was made for it. You're just like being trailed along this tail, but it's sort of like whipping back and forth as well. So you have saved it from what could potentially have been an insignificant amount of damage. I'm just kidding.
Slide an insult in there.
I'm just kidding. You're pretty confident that as you grab on, this sort of like sigh of relief leaves you. That you might have saved it from quite a bit. It doesn't even seem like it notices, though.
Whatever. It felt cool.
Yes. Okay. So next up, Thunky. Now you're up.
I'm gonna get back on the ship. Here I go, dash into the ship.
Wow. Okay. So you guys like
We were too eager. And then I would like to get an exoskeleton prepared for Crow.
Okay, I'll say as a free action, you sort of call to Carnigal, and he says, "I'm on it." Next. More arrows shoot from the center portion. And they all just get taken by the wings. By the gust of the wings. Like the force of it just sends them spiraling in different directions.
This is that sentry bow shooting out Queen Uniga?
Yeah, same one that you were initially preparing against. You see a hail of arrows fly towards the Hive Abomination. And you can't really see from the side that it's coming at, and you aren't really sure how much damage it took. Next. Var'Kir, you get 3 flame arrows shot at you at 19.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's...
Actually, hold on. 14?
What?
Does 14 hit?
Oh, no.
And a natural 20.
That definitely doesn't.
Okay, so you take 12 points of piercing damage, 6 points of fire damage from the first shot, and you take 20 points of piercing damage and 8 points of fire damage from the second shot as one comes straight towards you and catches you by surprise. The other one you quickly sort of bat away, or your cricketeer jumps to the side and just exits, the arrow exits into the clouds below, as the other one just, it almost as though it's like it teleports from the top of the blimp into your chest and starts peeling out fire from your armor. Like fire is just sort of like propagating onto your armor and then just slowly dies out from the gust of wind pressing against it.
So what was that total? I was like, I was 16 and then I didn't know what that last attack was.
Oh, the last attack was the natural 20. It was, I think it was 20 points of piercing damage and 8 points of fire damage.
So I got 50 points damage?
You got 50 points. It rolled a natural 20. You have sort of the queen connects with her children. She's sort of like, before she gets to it, she arcs around the radius of the nest, and you start to see the movement of her children go from chaotic and swirling around to all in sync, like ducks migrating. They just sort of like connect with her. Thunky, part of you feels this connection as it's like 1 individual, 2, 3 minds, 4 minds.
I shed a tear of happiness.
Just go with 3 minds right now, as 1 was taken
I
out.
shed 3 tears.
Quenzel is up. Where do you want me to go?
Keep to the Unagoth area. You see him?
You want me to aim for this fucker shooting arrows?
Yeah, obviously.
Then they'll only go 2 spaces.
That's perfectly okay, as long as you don't go down, Queedo.
Spectromere is going to aim. The ballista. And
Can I be like a spotter for Spectre?
if you want to use your bonus action.
I do.
Okay.
Does that help her out in any way?
She rolled the exact same thing.
What a dumb bitch.
What a dumb bitch. What the fuck? Okay. She aims straight for the blimp itself, and one solid, thick ironed ballista round just pierces it. It snaps. The chain goes limp, and you see 2 individuals sparkle down into the clouds below. Their copper shine. The last thing you see of their lives.
Yay.
And that Unagoth, or that Belbanus tree, is free to sort of hide around.
I go for a high five, Spectre Man.
She just, like, from behind her.
Crisp.
All right, the hive is going to go. It's going to. Oh, these. One impacts this tree entirely and just burns it to cinders. As you see these thousands of insects just hop around it, and almost like it melts back into the sky. The chain snaps. The 2 individuals you don't even see fall as their bodies almost just like disappear, and the balloon starts floating up, absent of individuals. The second one flies harmlessly, like around or over the ship, and disappears into the clouds below. And it is going to just... You see it almost like hop on the clouds and just shoulder check the entire Belbanus tree, cracking it and shifting it down into the clouds as the tentacles grab the chain, pull the blimp in, and just consume the individuals inside. You hear 2 more from the sky in retaliation. You see a flaming meteor go directly towards the nest and the majority of the Unagoths and Crow, as another one barrels towards the hive. Crow, you're up.
I'm going to use my movement to try to get from the tail back to the back, like bottom back section.
Okay.
And then doesn't really make sense to hold my, I'll hold my action.
You don't want to get higher? You want to use all of your action to get higher? You could hold it for like if Quenzel and them get closer. Or you can hold another reaction to defend it.
No, I guess that is a reaction. So yeah, I'll use my action to get more centrally located on the back. As high as I can go, pretty much.
Okay, no athletics check this time, as you do feel like she's almost like correcting her tail to make it easier for you to climb.
Ooh.
Next up, Var'Kir, and then Hercheck.
Like I'm just going to attack that blimp with green flame blade. I'm gonna attack it twice.
Okay.
And lots of yeah, what 15.
15
12,
hits.
Okay, and the other one doesn't. What is this now? 58. So 21 points of damage.
How do you want to take it out? 20 is its hit points.
Oh, it just burns. I guess if it's full of helium, it would just burn. Yeah, it would just green flame.
It Hindenburgs.
I don't think helium is flammable.
Whatever chemicals in there, it just pops.
Okay, just green propagates throughout the whole blimp, turning it to nothing but ash. The chain breaks and the basket just falls into the clouds below. You are very close to one of the cannon ships.
Is it within 5 feet of the blimp? That's too far. Never mind.
If you have a distance attack, you.
No, that was the thing. Like if it was in 5 feet of that blimp I destroyed, the fire would leap to it. But that doesn't happen. So we're good. We're done. That's it. I'm just going to fly towards the hive abomination with the rest of my turn, I guess.
I think your turn would be getting to the Belvinus tree.
That was only one square though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that you had jump on. Okay. Hercheck, you're up.
I will hold my action, which is going to be a lightning bolt. So when we get closer to this one, this blimp, I'm gonna unleash a lightning strike against it, against the blimp itself, not anything on the.
Okay. You have 3 squares is the distance.
Yeah, we don't have
make.
them. Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying.
When we get close to it, you'll let me know.
Okay. Oh my, what is up with you? It's just going to, the main ship for the front of it is going to pulse once more, not in the same sort of displacing energy, but in this like darkish, yellowish energy that almost seems to have this calming aspect to it as you watch it fly through the sky and impact into the hive abomination. Whereas it's already slowed, the wings sort of slow fully to a stop, and the tentacles go down, and it disappears beneath the clouds. At this point, you say it's like Scorpion?
Do I still have
Yeah,
the red? Do I have the red potion from the one-off or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're into the dream world. Remember, red potion, speed up, blue potion, slow down. Yeah.
And your connection to Carnigal is lost. You still have control over your aspects, but there's no sort of like you feel this blank space in your mind where Carnigal used to be, and the ferret just falls onto the ship. Same with yours. Unfortunately, yours just flies off. Okay, next up. Since there's no Hive Abomination, one is going to go after you. Their turns are all in the same order, so actually we'll do does a 15 hit your armor class?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You feel this pressure past just like angle towards you, essentially. Like it's impossible to miss in your peripheral vision. As you were going after the Hive Abomination, this blackness takes up your peripheral vision, and you just barely, with your strengthened cricketeer legs, jump over it as it passes underneath you and disappears into the sky below, maybe 100 meters away. The next one is going to fire directly at Nalhalis' eye. As a cannon barrels through the sky. Hits for sure. No. And 52 points of damage to Nalhalis' eye as it shreds through the bottom of the ship, breaks into the wood, pierces it, and you feel it just dent the opposite side of the ship and smack down on the ground as you almost feel the weight of Nalhalis' ship sort of sink a bit lower. From the shock, I want you two to make dexterity saving throws. Or tell me... No, not at advantage. I would say, yeah, you would probably see this coming at advantage since you have that.
Natural 20.
Really?
Natural 12 plus 1. 13.
13. Okay, you take 26 points of bludgeoning damage as you're thrown from the deck into the nearest mast pole. What?
Every time I'm not raging, it's like bludgeoning. It's like every time I am raging, it's like psychic wisdom.
Well, I don't know how a
yeah,
cannonball would do psychic damage.
What was it?
26 points of bludgeoning damage. You take no damage at all as you sort of... as the cannonball impacts, you sort of mimicking Var'Kir, jump and sort of hover for a second as the ship rocks back and forth, and you just land on the deck. Oh, we'll see if Spectrometer, how she did. She does fine. Okay. Oh, and the third one is going to aim at you again, Crow. Aim at the Unigoth. Natural 16 definitely hits.
And this is the fire arrow?
This is not the fire arrow. This is a cannonball, the one that you had deflected before.
And
That's a lot already from the first roll. 16, 24.
It's not.
20.
I'd like to uncanny dodge that.
3. Well, never mind. It didn't add up to even 48 points of damage is
Wow,
what
that's
the
it?
Unagoth takes.
Wow,
Yeah,
didn't
the
even
first
add
roll
up a
was
lot.
the first couple of rolls was great. The next couple were not so great. With uncanny dodge,
48's not great.
No, it didn't even add up to that much.
Yeah. What a
48.
weak amount.
Just 48.
Oh. Pathetic.
okay. You with your uncanny dodge, the Unagoth queen sort of whips her tail in the air, and you, similar to everybody else who's avoided this cannonball at this point, the Unagoth queen gets slammed out of the sky, and it's almost as though the rest of the Unagoths take this force as well, as they just sort of like fall into disarray for a brief second before the queen catches herself and comes to pick you up once again. The entire like right side of her face, her right ear is bent over and smashed. Her eye is closed in. Some of her fangs are broken. Some of the whistling sound broken as well. Like, hard to tell with all the wind pressing past and the other whistling happening, but that's what happens. Thunk, you're up.
I would like to hold my action, but I guess as a reaction. I would like to hold it for any incoming flaming balls at our ship, and I would like to deflect them with a spell.
You can just say you can hold your action, until something attacks the ship, and then anything is for a game. What you
Okay.
can do.
Cool.
All right, arrows.
Well, wait, sorry. Can we move the ship, actually? Can I move the ship
you can
while
direct
I'm on
the
it?
ship.
Okay. Will
Like
it
you can
move,
tell
though,
you can
on
tell
my turn?
Quenzel. No, Quenzel has his own turn.
Oh. Would that count as my action, or am I just telling him?
No, it could be a free action.
Okay. Keep heading towards Crow.
We're taking
Right.
heavy fire.
For him.
All right, trial by fire. That's what I always say. And he's up. We'll get there in 2 turns. You guys can choose to attack the blimp with a cannon. Like, in 2 turns, the ship will have caught up to Crow. I'm sorry, in two spaces. So just one, so it's natural movement. So then its action is yours, in which case it's got the ballista, it's got a ramming mechanism to it.
That we can shoot at that guy? This thing?
Yes.
Okay. Are you saying, do we want to take that? Are you asking us?
So like, do you want to
Yes.
keep moving? Do you want to ram something, or do you want to shoot something?
I would like to shoot something.
Okay.
Eh?
Am I in range of it? Can I shoot it?
It's not within 3 spaces, but the ballista goes a bit farther than that.
I mean, spectrum mirrors on the ballista.
So you sort of like holding the red
Like, push her out of the way. Like, get out of the way.
Do you grab the ballista? Do you want to?
I'll grab it.
As you are holding your arm over her sort of like right shoulder, trying to like direct her with this sparking, getting ready as it's sort of accumulating at the tip of the Red Tempest, she sort of looks at you and like grabs your hands and puts them on the ballista.
Ooh.
And sort of like puts her gauntleted fingers.
Can it be like Titanic? Can I like reach around?
Not
her?
at all. She won't. She so nimbly gets out of the way and shifts your weight onto the ballista that you didn't even realize that was even a thought you were going to have. Any romantic feeling. She just like
Wasn't romantic.
squashed it immediately, and she like tightens her.
Oh, me.
She does almost what you were anticipating, and she like grips your hands from the top, like she puts her gauntleted hands over yours,
Oh, it's
grips
reverse.
them, and you feel the sort of electric pulse into the ballista at this point.
What am I? Is it just I'm adding just my basic attack? Or...
Roll to attack first. Are you going after the cannon? That's the only thing that's in
I'm
range.
going after the blimp.
Okay.
That is attached to the cannon.
Okay.
Natural 20.
Okay. Let's see.
It explodes. And then the lightning from the javelin strikes the other one and explodes too.
Roll 5d10 and 4d6.
Back. $24, 29, 32, 38, 42. Do you want me to separate that?
No, that's okay. You aim directly at the blimp. Like, you feel the weight of the wind sort of like push the ballista a little bit, sort of like turning it. You compensate with your weight, focus on it, lead the target ever so slightly. Almost like a railgun, shoots the solid iron, thick, maybe like 4 inches in diameter, arrow straight, impacts shoots straight through the blimp, the blimp portion. You see it exit the other side. You start to see the seams of the blimp like form up once again around the puncture wound, and you start to see just this tickle of lightning energy curl around, and then curl around again, and then and the blimp just the bottom part dislodges. The cannon fires one wildly in the air and sinks below. Yeah, you just barely managed to fuck it up.
Just.
All right.
Jesus.
Thunky, Quenzel. You did hold your action. Queen. The queen did not go. Okay. The queen is going to move all of her forces away. Whatever.
So they're headed straight for the ship?
Straight for ship. They're regaining their bearings. They're not directed towards the ship right now.
Oh, so they're... Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Okay. And Thunky, you still feel this sort of like connection between you and the queen. You almost feel this like need for help as one of her babies. Like, as soon as one of her babies got hit, her confidence took a hit in a similar fashion. And she's not doing too hot emotionally right now, but she still has this ember of an inferno sort of burning inside of her. The 2 trees get destroyed as the meteor round from the artillery just absolutely sends them aflame, breaks them apart, would have taken out anything in its vicinity. This one is stupid as it's chasing after a hive abomination that isn't there and disappears into the base below. And hoopsie doopsie doo. You hear the once again, the familiar hum of large flapping wings come from across the forest. All right. Top of the round. Crow.
So I would like to, if this thing's still flustering, I'd like to seize that opportunity to try and grab onto some tufts and push, like if we're headed in the direction of that big ship that just fired at us, I'd like to try and wait, are we heading that direction?
No.
Based on that, no?
Nope.
Then I'd like to try and grab onto the tufts and pull the Queen Unigoth in that direction, and then when we're in that direction, push underneath the cloud line.
Yeah, sure. Roll an animal handling check. 100% yes. And even then, this is
12.
You're grabbing and you're still at sort of the base of its tail. It sort of picked you up in the same position. You're grabbing its fur, and it's such a massive creature that doing this, pulling in one direction or the other, you don't feel any reaction from it. Var'Kir, you're up, followed by Hercheck. You can use your movement to go up higher if you want.
Oh wait, how high am I?
You're at it's the top of its tail, or the small of its back again.
Oh right. Sorry, can I retcon the order and try to move higher up the back?
Oh yeah, I mean it's still not gonna do anything.
Okay, but just it would make sense to do in that order.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Hey, Midna. Okay, Var'Kir, you're up.
So do I hear where the hive abomination is from the fluttering? Or?
Yeah, you can feel a vibration sort of shifting through the clouds up towards you. Your tree is
So can I dive down for the hive abomination? With the cricket, just go to try and get on the hive abomination, with the cricket.
Sure. Yeah. I guess roll a perception check as you sort of bring in all of your limbs and dive down through the clouds.
9.
It's like an attack on your senses, going from this open air, clear sky where you can see all of your all aspects to back into the fog, which is just disorienting by its very nature, and you sort of lose the sense and scope of things. And this flapping is so loud that it's knocking off of the trees and causing shifting that makes it hard for you to sort of understand where it is exactly. You have a general location still, but you imagine that. So that will be your movement and your bonus action. You still have your action.
No, I was going to use all of my movement to get to it. If I don't get to it, that's fine. I'm using all my movement though.
Okay. Hercheck.
Would the ballista possibly hit the one off in the distance? It's 4,
You can
4
fire
miles.
at disadvantage.
Now I will hold my attack in case we get closer, or if anything possibly comes near us. If the ship shoots at us, can I possibly shoot a ballista at the projectile that it's shooting at us? Kind of
That would be a disadvantage.
I will
with a high-
I will accept it
Okay.
if it happens to try to save the ship.
And this is if what fires at it?
So if the main enemy ship fires whatever it fired at the Unigoth, or if we get closer to that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. you hear another as shit flies into the air. Two more large flaming meteors arc into the sky, piercing the clouds. And the ship is going to... Oh my. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna fire at the queen again, or just at the queen in general. You see like black matter spill from the deck of the ship and sort of accumulate at the front and almost spew into the sky towards the collection of Unagoths. This sickening, to some of you, recognize it as sort of death matter of the necrotic persuasion. Okay, and it impacts the queen, spilling over her fur, and some of her children get caught in the impact. Uh, 48 points of necrotic damage. Roll a Constitution saving throw, Crow. You take 24. 48. Yeah, you take 24 points of necrotic damage, as some is just this thick black goo is like impacting her chest. She's sort of like caught off guard, being pushed out of her trajectory, and it's spilling over and sort of like cascading down her back, and just you have no choice but to hang on in this moment, and so it's hard for you to move around, and it's just slowly spilling over you and corroding.
Uncanny dodge that.
When was the last time you used Uncanny Dodge? That was not this.
Now. I just.
Yeah, but it's not a reaction you can use infinitely. You only have one reaction per round. This is a new round. So if you got attacked 6 times in one round, you couldn't use Uncanny Dodge for all 6. You could only use it for one.
The only thing that hit me last time was that same cannon, so it's got to be a different round.
Yeah, it's a different round. I'm just letting you know that it's not something you can use. You made it seem like you thought reaction was something you could just...
I can use once per round.
Yeah. We're on the same page.
Wait, but can I?
Yeah, you can reduce it to 12 damage.
That's good.
12 points of necrotic damage. And some of the other Unagoths around her also take 24 points of necrotic damage, screaming into the air. Next up... going to hold its cannon. Thunky, you're up.
Is there anything in range that we can shoot at?
No, there's nothing in range. You could leap off of the ship if you want to get closer to the Unagoths.
But wouldn't the ship be faster than me?
It would still be faster, but if like you were trying to help Crow or something, there's a give and take.
I'll just stay on the ship. And I guess hold my action for when there's something within range to shoot at.
Okay. Both you and Hercheck. Wait, Hercheck. Were you waiting until it shot at Quenzel's ship or just in general?
At the ship.
Okay, just making sure. Arrows. Oh, arrows are all gone. That goes so bye-bye.
Where's Var'Kir go?
Under the clouds.
Now she's gonna take her brood. It's a cluster up right now. Man, Crow really is at. Look, the foot is appropriately missing.
Foot's missing, one arm's mangled.
And she's going to send 3 of the Unagoths out to bombard the cannon ship. All right. As you see, 3 Unagoths break formation, but continue in this sort of unison as one streaks down and bats the side of the ship, exploding wood shards off. Another sort of like swoops in and just gets its talons sort of like caught up in the nets and flies away harmlessly. Doesn't do any damage to it. And the third one just sort of like stops, spins, and lets loose a shriek, just like sending another shockwave through the ship. Like twine of rope snaps, the ship is pushed back and sort of like rocked off kilter, doing quite a bit of damage. Okay, next up is Quenzel. What would you have him do?
Get closer to where the Unagoths are, you fool!
With Quenzel's, with you on the ballista, Quenzel can move twice. Or sorry, can do an act, can move twice, and you can still shoot the ballista, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And right now you are just within range to attack the ship.
Quick question. Am I in range to get on the ship?
You used up your action, but you would be able to.
That's good.
12.
To hit?
I roll a 3.
Arcs off. As the Unagoths attack it and it gets rocked from the screech, it almost is, it's like sends it through in between the ship and the blimp.
Could he just like double hit it since I was holding mine?
You can't just give somebody your action like that. But you were holding your action, you can oh, it was to attack, so you wouldn't be able to interact with Crow just yet. You do notice a giant flaming fireball coming your way, though. Funky.
I would like to fire at it to deflect it.
This is about 3 to 4 times larger than the one Crow barely managed to deflect.
Oh.
So
Why is it bigger?
Coming from the big ship.
it's coming from something beneath you.
In that case, can I lightning bolt it?
They've they've come through the clouds each time. Huh?
Oh, I thought they
Can
were
I
shooting
lightning
the ship.
bolt it?
You imagine you better do it at the highest magnitude that you possibly could.
Do it.
Huh.
Yeah, I see you're dancing around it.
Dancing around what?
Yeah, you know.
No, I have ascended, Max.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay, let it loose.
So does it just automatically hit because it has to make a dexterity saving throw?
It does. I will say if it rolls lower than a 5, you will negate some of the damage. And I'm gonna roll in front of you guys just so.
Lower than a 5.
It's like 5 and 22.
Yeah.
Will you tell me which one you want me to roll for this?
Mammoth thighs.
That'll be a 20 then.
Let me see.
That's the best one.
Oh yes, this one.
Not ominous.
Can't wait for this to fail.
7.
God damn it. So what does that mean?
That means that it's still barreling towards you.
But it doesn't take any damage?
It does not. You don't divert it. It'll still take damage, but it's like it is a massive 15-foot like solid iron flaming meteor coming in your direction. At this point, since it did roll a 7, how many dice? What level are you casting this at?
So be, where is it? 11d6.
11d6. Okay. If you roll higher than 50 points of damage, you will 1/3 the amount of damage that happens, as you will sort of be like, I guess like breaking it apart in the air, lowering its mass, its density of death.
40. Let me see if I can add anything.
Loosening this lightning blast through the sky.
That was a waste.
Quenzel went. It is Artie's round.
Can I
guys-
yell something?
Of course, yeah, always.
Oh, okay. Abandoned ship! Get the fuck off!
What do you mean?
There's a giant meteor heading our way, and there's nothing stopping it. It's
I thought it
gonna
was
destroy
towards the
us. Oh, isn't it coming towards us?
How is it following us?
It's shot through this area and was going to go to where the Unigoth originally were. They changed trajectory. It's not going to hit you dead on. It's going to hit you like it's gonna nick you, but it's gonna do quite a bit of damage.
I'm getting off.
That wasn't the damage roll. That was me.
Okay.
That was me getting all of these dice out of the middle.
It'll nick ya.
Jesus Christ!
It'll make you with 10 d20s.
Yeah. They're actually D100s.
D100 Zero. All right.
That didn't sound too bad.
9, 16, yeah, 17.
I'm going to fourth it.
It's true. The ship uses uncanny dodge.
Ship just takes 20 points of bludgeoning damage and 13 points of fire damage as it hits the back, the backside of the ship, rocking it, twisting it down. Anybody on the ship make a dexterity saving throw.
Quenzel and Spectrum here.
Thank you for that.
16.
Quenzel rolled just high enough. Spectrum here. Who rolled above a 16?
I rolled a 16.
You, I think, still take full damage.
If is the DC 16,
Yeah.
and I just made it. It's like armor class. If I rolled a 16, your armor class 16, I just got it. But if it's a saving throw, it's the same thing. I made the DC because it is 16.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because if a wisdom spell is cast on you and you meet the saving throw. Okay. Who rolled above a 16? You rolled above 16? Okay, so 20 halved is 10. So you take 5 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh.
And 3 points of fire damage. And so does Spectromir, as you guys are slammed to the deck. Roll dexterity saving throw, Var'Kir.
Below the car. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
18.
Sort of feet extended in front of the cricketeer. You're just trying to place where this hive abomination is. You are taken by surprise as it just presses past you. Its like glowing dense green carapace just surprises you, and your feet scrape all along the sides before your wings sort of like find balance, and your body presses against the weight of it as it's flying, shifting its massive weight back into the sky. Carnigal going, "That was uncomfortable. What happened?" Crow, you are up now. Oh, then this meteor just impacts harmlessly through into the clouds.
If I can, I'd like to jump onto the ship.
Okay, it'll be your full movement and action, and roll an acrobatics check.
$23.
All right, you sort of, with the natural sort of arcing motion of the Unagoth, as its tail dips down low and starts to arc back up, you start running down the back again and up the tail and kick off as it sort of naturally flips and gives you extra momentum in the air before it descends back down and the Unagoth continues taking off. You again use your cape to just angle yourself onto the deck of the ship, and you curl into or spin into your fall, land shoulders against the side paneling of the ship. Are you twisting and whatever? I can't see.
Oh, he was twisting.
Twisting?
Or just like, were you doing whatever with your character?
No, I was trying to place him.
Intentionally.
Yeah. By the ship.
Okay, that's your move. You can say something, or you can.
Is there anything I can do to help?
No.
Riding that Unagoth was a waste.
You looked cool, and you made us follow you around.
Oh, that's my doing. Okay.
She's not looking too hot. You might have saved her from that cannon blast.
I'd like to think so. I'll just leave it there.
She might not survive another one, though.
Yeah, well, maybe she should start dodging.
All right. Next up, Var'Kir and then Hercheck.
So I guess I'll take that red bubble speed potion and pop it on me and the giant thingamabobber as much as I can get it on, just to see if would that make it go faster or not do anything to it, I guess.
You're like on the center of its back, in between two giant panels of the armored carapace, as the wings are under it, flapping. You're slamming it down.
I would like pop it like doesn't.
The sphere of red sort of pulses outwards.
I want to at least get the wings of the thing, so the wings move faster at least.
And that's exactly what happens. And it goes from the sort of like trying to regain air to just this.
Yeah, just go, Carnival, go. Yeah, that's it. I guess that's
Go, Carnival.
Okay. Next up, Hercheck.
Gonna fire another one at that blimpy dimpy. Skimpy wimpy. Natural 20.
How do you want to do this?
I just do the same thing. Right through it and it explodes with lightning. My lightning infuses with the thing.
It's... You know what? Your... Again, the sort of giant iron arrow goes right into the barrel of the cannon, and smoke explodes down, explodes out. Wood is just as this thing just in pink lightning and fire as it descends beneath the sea of clouds. Once again. There is still one cannon left. Okay, that's you say anything, do anything?
Another one bites the cloud.
It's this light and like whatever hand slaps you on the shoulder and it's like, that's okay. Okay, the ship is going to make it over these ruins. And it doesn't do anything for this. For the immediate seconds. The cannon is going to turn around. So it'll be like, oh shit! And fire. Fire away. Yep. God, I really should just use the app.
What would be the point of purchasing all the dice then?
True. Other than faster games. 43 points of bludgeoning damage. Woo! And 16 points of fire damage to the hive abomination. 43, 16.
You didn't speed a McGee out of there?
No, it doesn't quite work like that.
It already used its turn, so I mean, it should be stuck there.
You see it just like the armor plating on the side gets broken in, and you just hear this, and it's you almost hear like one lung or multiple lungs trying to like. It's done quite a bit of damage as fire sort of like, and a flame sort of like disappears into the sky above as you smell burnt and destroyed meat. And Thunky, you are now up.
guess I would just like to hold my turn until I can fire at something again.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and then give Crow the exoskeleton.
Okay, we'll say that he just like as he slides onto the deck, the exoskeleton just like hops on him. And he now you have full health.
Ooh.
And the ability to fly as fast as you can run. I'd say for you can go 3 spaces total if you wanted to, because you're much faster. If you step of the wind, you'd be able to go as fast as the ship. If you hop on a cricketer.
Sweet.
40.
Cool.
Okay. Arrows are done. Queen's turn. Swoops. She's going to they're going to take up position around you all, just sort of like flying around Nulhollis's eye, just sort of like taking up various positions. You have 2 heavily damaged, technically 3 heavily damaged Unagoth, one being the queen and one sort of being fresh to go, fresh to death. And Spectromir is going to hand you the flute, her last flute, Thunky. She walks up to you. And Quenzel, where do you guys want the ship to go?
Towards it.
Full force?
Beneath the clouds.
There's artillery firing at us.
They can't see us if we're beneath the clouds.
We can't see them.
No, they're beneath the clouds.
We got a lot of ground to cover.
Like the biggest fireball came at us from under the clouds, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we want to go
No,
down
we
there.
want to go underneath the clouds.
Not underneath, but like within the clouds.
They could still shoot you though.
Oh, if they can't see us.
They can see you through the clouds.
How can they see us through the clouds?
They're still hitting you.
How do they know we're not? How do we know they're not just spotting us from above the clouds? That's how artillery works. They call in a fire order, fire mission, and then.
Do they have that type of stuff in this? Do they
We
have like
only
radio?
Yeah,
assume-
they got
and everything?
message and
Because they can
sending.
see us. If we go below the clouds, they can't see us. We can still head in that direction.
You could try it, I guess, but I mean,
Fuck it, let's just try it.
whatever.
Towards
not,
it, but
not
it
too far
down.
down. That's just just stay below the cloud line.
All right. Here we go. Keep those eyes peeled for flaming balls of death. As all of you descend beneath the clouds.
I mean, you could just leave us there.
I guess that is true. To the enemy. And then we'll go 1, 2. There we go. Oh, there is still one arrow guy. Shouldn't have crossed you off.
No, the blimp. The mini blimp. There you go.
Wait, what mini blimp?
They did. It's natural causes. Their time to
That
go.
mini blimp over there? Okay, fine.
Var'Kir, it is impossible for you to hear any sound outside of the buzzing of the wings, the smashing against the air. As this thing is barreling through the sky, faster than anything you've seen recently. And it is going straight for the ship, which the ship is almost equal in size to this hive abomination. Multiple different rows of guns, and there's some sort of like moving thing at the front of the ship acting as the figurehead. As the hive abomination gets closer and closer and closer to these sort of black ruins, you can see around the actually roll a perception check.
9. Yeah, 9.
There's something inscribed on the side of the ship. It almost seems hastily inscribed. You can't quite read it just yet, but everything on the ship that isn't made of solid material is flapping and waving around and being pushed and swirling as you hear this cry into the air echo throughout. You imagine farther than just your immediate vicinity, and you can just barely hear it through the cacophony of wings. As you get closer and closer and closer, the ship starts turning towards you, and you hear this like the clouds sort of pulse inwards towards the ruins and blow this monumental amount of force as part of the ruins are utterly destroyed. The clouds are being pushed away, revealing the entirety of the floating forest below. The entire section of latitudinal range that you're taking up is pushed away from you. Roll a dexterity saving throw or a strength saving throw. However you're going to stay on the hive abomination as it is almost knocked from the air, being pushed in this unassailable force of wind.
So I rolled a 15, but I'm also going to use arcane deflection. So that means I get a +4 bonus to the saving throw. So that means that turns into a 19.
Okay. You get almost immediately knocked off of your feet and thrown down the side of the carapace, like hitting, sort of like multiple layer of armor before you finally grab onto one down by the end. And the hive, now that you're sort of like have some of your orientation around you, is also sort of like spiraling through the air. You guys don't see any of this. You hear this loud crack in the sky above you, and this and the wings are the wings of the hive abomination. You no longer hear in the noises in the sky.
Did the hive abomination have to do a saving throw for that, or a dexterity saving throw?
No, it didn't.
No. Well, like it's because I'm riding it basically, so it's my mount.
That's very presumptuous of you to think that it's your mount.
I technically have.
But it is thrown from the sky, and from anybody who has visibility above, there is just a straight line throughout the entire floating forest that shows all of the contents beneath as perfectly clear. The clouds have been pushed up and out of the mountains, and there are now sort of wings on the sides of the ship right there. And that is where we will pick up next time on SASANS and Dragons. Always check the ruins first, guys. Come on, rule number 1 in Sky Battle over the Floating Forest. Haven't you read any books?
We're headed that way.
Thank you for watching, SASANS. Thank you for sticking with us throughout this episode of combat. As always, until fate. I'm really good at endings. Next brings us together. And never stop playing role-playing games.
You are you, 少女よ今こそ much.